There's something strange about Super Mario 64. For many of us, this was one of the first true 3D worlds we ever stepped into. Bright, colourful, and full of adventure. But look a little closer and that cheerful playground starts to feel wrong. Textures that don't quite make sense, empty rooms with no purpose, a silence that lingers. Over decades, players documented and traded stories, glitches that shouldn't exist, whispers of missing characters, and versions that seemed to know who was playing. These legends endure because they blend technical quirks with psychological unease. So we're diving into the scariest urban legends surrounding Super Mario 64 and uncovering the strange, haunting details that make it feel less like a platformer and more like a psychological horror game. For most players, Wario was never part of Super Mario 64, but somewhere between fact and fever dream lies a face no one ever forgot. In 1995, during a Nintendo event in Japan, footage surfaced showing a fully rendered Wario head, grinning, twisting, staring straight into the crowd. The model spoke, its voice distorted and mocking.
You want fun? Wario show you fun.
It was supposed to be harmless, a tech demo showing off the new hardware, but as the years went on, players swore they'd seen that same head inside their own copies of Mario 64. Stories began to appear on message boards, claims that if you entered the castle's mirror room at the wrong angle or lingered too long on the title screen, the reflection would change. They called it the Wario Apparition, a phantom image that appeared suddenly, accompanied by screaming audio, frozen controls, or in some cases, a total crash of the game. Of course, Nintendo never confirmed anything. The footage doesn't exist in the retail version of the game, but the memory of that grinning, uncanny face stuck, an image burned into a generation's nostalgia.
Wario show you fun.
Over the years, players have reported something strange wandering the halls of Peach's castle, a figure that looks almost like Mario. They describe it as a completely black version of him, a shadow or silhouette moving on its own even when the player stands perfectly still. In various reports from those who claim to have encountered it, this dark Mario walks slowly around Peach's castle, opening doors, jumping through paintings, and vanishing into rooms you haven't yet unlocked. There have been many supposed sightings, some even accompanied by screenshots, but none have ever been confirmed. Some believe it's nothing more than a glitch, a graphical bug creating a stray player model that replays your previous movements, like a ghost recording itself over and over again. Others think it's more deliberate, a fragment of Mario's data looping his past actions long after you've moved on. A reflection that forgot what it was supposed to be. In the courtyard, a barely readable plaque on the star statue convinced kids the game was hiding Luigi. The text looks like L is real 2401, and that scrap of stone felt like a message from the castle itself. No other hints, no NPC, just a line you squinted at until you saw what you wanted. To most, the L stood for Luigi, a clue that Mario's brother was secretly hidden somewhere inside the game, locked behind an impossible requirement. Players tried collecting 2,401 coins, or they did 2,401 laps around the fountain, time trials, forums were trading rituals, and IGN even dangled a $100 bounty to the person who found out how to unlock Luigi, which of course no one ever did. Then, in July 2020, something strange happened. During the massive Nintendo Giga Leak, fans discovered Luigi's complete model hidden in the game's source files, 24 years and 1 month after the original release, exactly as the inscription predicted. The biggest myth around Mario 64 was that every copy is personalized. Your cartridge watched you, learned your habits, then quietly rewrote the castle to match your fears. No one found a hidden AI in retail code, yet from 2020 to 2021, the idea exploded. Iceberg videos, long nights at home during lockdowns, and clips of odd moments stitched into eerie proof. Some of those moments feel real because they are small, programmed variations. Bomb Battlefield's rolling boulders change after the first star. Enemies sometimes despawn or wander differently. Stars can be grabbed in many orders, making runs feel unique. Even audio quirks with music dropping out, windtails, reverb, they all seem reactive in edits styled like analog horror. Personalization algorithms primed us to expect systems that study us, and the castle's quiet invites projection. There's no global AI in the ROM, the personalization is of course psychological, fed by natural variation and how we read symbols. Some fans took a different turn, the Freemason ties theory. Here's the strange leap framed as interpretation. Peach's castle gets read like a lodge, halls as rituals, symbols as marks, the hub as a ceremonial space where you move by degrees, not just stars. This lived mostly in iceberg charts, where deeper layers invite wilder reads. The pitch leans on architectural symbolism. Checkerboard floors signal duality, star motifs as guiding lights, secret rooms beyond thresholds. You pass guarded doors, you climb stairs and reach higher chambers, echoing initiation. Real Masonic halls favor symmetry and stations. The castle mirrors that with balanced wings, straight corridors, and a grand center. Analysis note how sparse hubs invite symbolic mapping. In a quiet geometric space, coins become talismans, red carpets mark processions, and the 3-tier layout reads like levels of knowledge. It's highly speculative, more pattern finding than proof, and it points towards a simpler unease waiting in the empty halls. The universal feeling surrounding players of Mario 64 is that of isolation. Why does a bright platformer feel empty enough to echo? The hub looks welcoming, but there's no life in those halls. No furniture, no kitchens, no bedrooms, just long carpets and doors that don't open. The few toads that you meet, well, they feel translucent, kind of like projections. That hush builds pressure. No crowd noise, no ambient chatter. The camera takes slow pans across blank walls, and after a fall, you walk back in silence. Compared to 2D Mario, where music and enemies keep you moving, early 3D leaves low poly voids and long stretches of, well, nothing. N64 hardware limits forced sparse rooms and simple geometry, and that restraint accidentally made the castle feel intentionally eerie. Liminal space theory fits. These are transitional rooms with no clear purpose. You listen for something that never arrives. That quiet nudges darker readings about what this castle really is. Super Mario 64 hides a surprisingly dark theory beneath its cheerful surface. It's called the Mario is dead theory, and it suggests that what we're really playing is Mario's journey through the afterlife. According to this theory, the moment Mario jumps into that first painting, the world of colour and light fades away, replaced by something else. Each painting, each level represents a stage of purgatory, a test he must complete before moving on. In Bomb Battlefield, he relives the chaos of past battles. In Hazy Maze Cave, he descends underground, the labyrinth of the underworld. Even Peach's castle takes on new meaning, a silent heaven he'll never truly reach. Some fans point to the endless stairs as the ultimate metaphor, Mario climbing forever, chasing a goal that doesn't exist. Others claim his final confrontation with Bowser isn't about defeating evil, but escaping guilt. It's all speculation, of course, but the strange stillness of Mario 64, the loneliness, the echoing emptiness, well, it makes it easy to see why people believe the plumber never made it out alive. Another eerie detail of this game are the spaces that trap you in place. There are two places that refuse to end. The endless stairs push you forward while the game holds you in place. The music climbs in a loop that never resolves, so your ears think that you're close while your feet really aren't. That mismatch builds pressure. Nintendo built it as a gate. You need enough stars to face Bowser, so the barrier feels deliberate and unsettling by design. Research on tension loops and spatial misdirection links this kind of mismatch to anxiety spikes, and you feel it within seconds. Now step outside. The courtyard at night, well, it barely speaks. A soft wind hum, water from the fountain, and wide reverb make every footstep sound exposed. Studies on sparse soundscapes show near silence heightens vigilance. You listen harder, then worry at nothing. However, there is a course that takes that quiet and then chills it with water. Wet Dry World turns that quiet into something clinical. The water level shifts based on where you jump into the painting, and that alone sets a strange mood. One press off and the whole space behaves differently. The slider mechanic feeds into the Crystal Wall Village. Slip through the underwater tunnel and you find blocky homes, sealed windows, and no one there. The official guide even says rising flood waters seem to have driven away all the inhabitants of this strange village. The skybox shows a dark, flooded city that looks real, not cartoon. It's traced to a photograph of Shibam in Yemen. This makes the scene feel really uncomfortable and grounded. Your footsteps ring with long reverb, and as water rises, movements turn slow and muffled. Environmental psychology links flooded urban imagery to displacement. Wet Dry World plays that feeling back to you, then leaves you alone with the things that still move. From there, the enemies themselves start to feel off. Some have seen the white-eyed chomp, as well as other figures that don't quite look alive. Like, a simple blue lump on a chain shouldn't be scary, yet the chain chomp's blank, low poly eyes read like a stare. The model barely blinks because, well, it can't, and that emptiness makes it feel like a thing that watches. When it slams forward, the audio spikes, then cuts, a start-stop rhythm that lands like a jump scare. Look at how expression works here. Goomba's barely emote. The eel in Jolly Roger Bay keeps a fixed grin that never changes. The Big Boo's haunt piano goes from an inert prop to an active predator with no face at all. All of this is because early 3D used minimal facial detail to save memory, which turns faces kind of into masks. With so few NPCs, each enemy stands out as a lone performer. Props on rails, looping rolls without souls, and that staging makes the hub feel like it really holds something older behind the glass. For a game that defined childhood joy for millions of players, it's strange how much darkness has grown from Super Mario 64's shadow. Maybe it's the emptiness, maybe it's the nostalgia, how we project our own fears onto something that once felt safe. Or maybe some worlds were never meant to be left behind. Whatever the truth is, these myths endure because they remind us that even the happiest games can hide something haunting underneath. And if you thought Mario's world was unsettling, well, you haven't seen what waits in Hyrule. In my previous video, we uncovered the 10 scariest urban legends from the Legend of Zelda games, from haunted cartridges to the moon that watches you sleep. And if you haven't seen that video yet, well, click the link on screen and step into the darkness of Hyrule's hidden nightmares. I'll see you over there.